name is Georgia Benson. My husband, Don, was convicted of robbery.
Georgia met and married her husband, Don, while he was behind bars. But now, he's about to be released.
After 10 years in prison, he's finally coming home.
The couple has never lived together as husband and wife.
My husband's coming home. Yes, sex is a big deal right now. I want him to look at me and go, damn, I'm glad to be home.
Will their first time together be wedded bliss?
I'm just an emotional wreck right now.
Or will Georgia's fairy tale end once Don comes home?
What if he comes home and finds I'm not what he thought I was?
This is Georgia's story.
I know people hear my story and think, my God, she's an idiot. I'm not. I do recognize this failure rate for marriages like mine are tremendous. But I also know I'm not a spring chicken jumping into something blindly. You may be a little bit quickly, but not blindly.
After a brief pen pal romance, Georgia Benson married a man serving time in a Missouri prison for armed robbery. Don, a career criminal, has spent the majority of his life behind bars.
And sometimes I've looked at him and thought, oh my God, am I really married to this man? Especially when I look at his website. It makes him sound like not the man I know. But knowing him like I do, he's amusing, he really is funny. He's silly, he's gentle, and none of that, of course, shows up in this. All that you see is the criminal. My husband's really terrible at his job. If he was a good criminal, he would have spent all this time behind bars. Hang on, I may be done. Every time the phone rings, I get a jump. It's like that first kiss, you know, that little anticipation thing. It's kind of the same thing. Hello.
This is a collect call.
For their entire 6-year marriage, Georgia has patiently waited for her husband Don to come home.
Don, I'll tell you that that without me, he could not have done the time he's done.
Subject to
He would have
monitoring
given
at
up
any
hope.
time. You may begin speaking now.
Hey, baby. Pretty good.
Now, the moment Georgia's been dreaming of has arrived. In just 5 days, Don will be a free man.
Okay. I love you, honey. I'll see him Friday at 5 o'clock my time. The nerves are starting to get to me, you know. Okay. Bye-bye, sweetheart.
Since they married, Georgia has counted down the days to Don's release from the Missouri Correctional Facility. Now, that day is almost here.
When I look at the calendar, it really brings it home how close it is to him coming home. I mean, he keeps talking about hours and stuff.
Georgia first met Don through her second husband, Wayne, who was battling a rare autoimmune disease. Wayne often passed the time by writing to an inmate named Don Benson. They met through a mutual friend, Rudy, an ex-con himself.
Actually, Wayne wrote Don before Georgia did. And I don't know if you'd say we're friends, but we're acquaintances.
Just 6 months later, Georgia's husband took a turn for the worse. While Georgia stood by her husband's bedside, he made an unusual request. He asked Georgia to look for a new husband.
He goes, Don is a good man. Don's a strong man, and Don's a good man, and I think he'd be good for you. And I said, are you trying to fix me up? He goes, I don't want you to be alone, honey, because you're too young.
Just a few days later, Wayne passed away.
When he died, it was like my whole world closed in. I retreated into my room. I didn't want to come out. The only thing I got to where I looked forward to and anticipated were the phone calls from Don.
Her late husband's wish had come true. Georgia now looked to Don for companionship.
This is absolute truth. If it weren't for him, I would have laid down and died because I had given up.
Georgia grew so fond of Don, just a year after her husband's death, she asked him to marry her.
I was like, you don't even know this guy. What are you thinking? I know Rudy had told me he was a great guy and a wonderful person, but it still scared me that he might be using her.
Georgia was stunned when Don turned her down.
He said, I have no intention of getting married again, but if I did, it wouldn't be unless I loved somebody and unless they loved me.
But just 6 months later, Don had a change of heart.
He goes, your proposal? Yeah, let's get married. And I said, well, what makes you think I still want to?
The couple married in prison on October 20th, 2003. It was the third marriage for each.
By then, to be honest, I did love him.
As a newlywed, Georgia visited Don in prison every weekend. But when Don was suspected of assisting an inmate who was selling marijuana, Georgia's visits came to an abrupt halt.
Don went to the hole for 6 months. I lost visitation for a year.
The couple didn't see each other for an entire year. And when Don returned to the general prison population, he told Georgia to stay away from the prison for good. Don claimed Georgia would be hassled now that he had a reputation as a drug pusher.
We only had another year until his release, and he was worried about how much they were going to hassle me.
Georgia took her name off Don's visiting list.
So I haven't seen him since July 23rd, 2007 now.
It'd be hard on anybody. I mean, how would you feel if you couldn't see the person that you love?
Oh, man, come on.
3 months ago, in anticipation of her husband's release, Georgia moved to New Mexico.
Don does not want me back in Missouri. He's really emphatic about that.
Don, a sci-fi buff and aspiring writer, has always wanted to move to Roswell.
Spent the last 3 months moving, preparing a home, and sometimes I keep wondering, am I going to live here all alone?
She's happy and scared at the same time. Those are very frustrating feelings to put together.
In just a few days, Georgia will be with her husband for the first time outside prison walls.
I want him to be glad he's coming home with me. Not that he's coming to Roswell, but that he's coming home with me.
Coming up, Georgia faces her deepest fear as Don's release approaches.
My husband has never seen my body. I want him to look at me and go, damn, I'm glad to be home. Where are you going, little man?
Georgia Benson's husband's release is now just 24 hours away.
I get to see my hubby. I get to hug and kiss him, and I get to reach out and pat him on the butt. I get to go to dinner with him, and I get to lay in our bed together for the first time ever.
After spending the last decade in prison, Georgia's husband will be released at midnight on Thursday morning. Once his paperwork is complete, he'll be transported to a Missouri bus depot. Don wants his good friends Rudy and Roberta to pick him up, rather than his wife, Georgia.
Got the bass out?
Yeah, tuning it up.
I know my husband's coming home to me, so I don't have a problem with Bert and Rudy picking him up.
I think it was a really hard decision for her because she wants to be there. But she also doesn't want to be clingy.
While Don enjoys his first day of freedom, Georgia will stay back in New Mexico. The couple will meet the next day in Amarillo, Texas, for their own very special reunion.
He's with two individuals that have been incarcerated, that understand the stress and the anxiety he's having, and I would not have been able to do that.
Before getting picked up the next day, Don checks in with Rudy one last time.
30 seconds. I love you too, man. I'll see you in the morning, bud. Bye. I don't know why I'm doing this. It's just like he made prison bearable for me, you know?
Rudy knows his pal Don faces a difficult transition back to the real world.
There's a whole new world out there. I mean, it took me 3 hours to pick out deodorant for when I got out of prison. And then I ended up getting the brand I used in prison because I just couldn't make up my mind, you know? He's ready.
Getting used to life on the outside is especially hard for a repeat offender like Don.
Based upon what I've seen in his past, I think there is a high probability at some point he will probably reoffend again and wind up back in prison.
Back in 1999, 41-year-old Don Benson was out on parole after serving time for a jewelry store robbery. But his freedom didn't last long. On September 17th, 2 motels in the town of Rolla, Missouri were robbed within minutes of one another by a masked man armed with a butcher's knife.
He told the clerk that if she did not do what he wanted, he would stab them all.
Eyewitnesses gave Rolla police a description of the suspect and his getaway car. A patrol officer quickly spotted the gray station wagon in a store parking lot.
It was sitting in the middle of the parking lot by itself, and it was occupied by a gentleman that matched the description of our robber. The suspect turned out to be Donald Benson.
Detectives found a ski mask, butcher's knife, and $1,000 in cash in plain view on the front seat. Don claims he's innocent, and Georgia believes him.
The likelihood of him robbing a motel is not very high because he's not a stupid man. He's going to rob something that there's some benefit from, you know? I mean, it's just that simple.
Georgia says that Don was set up by his ex-wife, who worked at one of the motels.
She says, this sounds like something my husband Donnie would have done. So they look at Donnie's record, they look at him on parole for armed robbery, and they go arrest Donnie.
Based on the information that we found on scene, in addition to the physical evidence and his physical description, there was no doubt we had the right guy.
Don received 10 years in prison for the crime.
Don absolutely regrets the decisions he's made in his life, and he feels the biggest remorse he has in his life is so much has been wasted.
Despite her husband's criminal history, not once has Georgia thought about giving up on him.
Even when times have been so difficult where I'm going, God, what have I gotten myself into? I married this man, for better or worse.
It's the night of Don's release, but Georgia's too nervous to sleep. She'll stay up until Rudy and Roberta pick up Don 7 hours from now.
You okay? Okay. I've been worried about you.
I've cried so many times today, it's been unreal.
Oh, honey.
Oh, I'm okay.
You make me cry.
I'm so excited, but I'm so scared too.
Don't be scared. You know he loves you.
Yeah, but what if you don't like me?
Nobody likes you, honey, but we all love you. Well, I'm going to have him call you when we pick him up in the morning.
Okay.
Take a deep breath. It'll all be worth it. Okay, I love you.
Enjoy the visit with him.
I know. He's all yours after tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay, honey. Bye. Oh.
It's now midnight. After 6 years of waiting, Don's release is almost here. The first step on his long journey home to his wife.
I think it's just surreal to her now that, you know, you don't, until they can physically touch, it's not a reality.
And it will be another 2 days before Georgia sees him in person. Up next,
What's him?
It's him.
after a decade behind bars, Don becomes a free man once again. But will Don head home to his wife or change his mind?
Well, damn it, you got in over an hour ago and I hadn't heard from you.
While she waits at home in New Mexico, Georgia Benson's husband is being released from a Missouri prison 870 miles away.
As overwhelmed as I feel, all I can picture is how much he feels the same way.
This is Don's third prison stint. In all, he has spent nearly 27 years of his life incarcerated.
He feels like his life is such a failure. He wants to have something positive to show for his life.
When Dawn is set free, Georgia will no longer be a prison wife.
Even though it was his release, it was mine too. You know, people don't understand. I'd rather done the time than been out here doing it. Us wives do say we're doing time too.
After hours in administration, Don's paperwork is finally processed. At 3:30 in the morning, he walks out of prison a free man. Now, he's being driven to a bus depot in St. Joseph, Missouri, where he'll meet his best friend Rudy and his wife Roberta.
I'm really looking forward to talking to him. Be the first time we've had a phone call not recorded. And he's on his way home. And it's for real now.
Come on, honey, it's time to go. Let's go get Dawn. Ready? Grab the alien.
Before Don heads to Amarillo, Texas to meet Georgia, he'll spend the day with his friends Rudy and Roberta.
Ready?
No, it doesn't hurt my feelings at all that Bert and Rudy are the ones that get to greet him. It just makes the wait longer for me.
Okay, now how are you going to get that in there?
That's a good question.
The prison shuttle is expected to arrive within the hour, not soon enough for Georgia. Back in Roswell, Georgia can't wait to talk to her husband.
There I go again. Don't ask why I'm crying. I have no idea. I think it's just the anxiety. I just kind of want to know he's safe.
I wonder if Georgia's still awake.
I wonder if Georgia went to sleep.
It's been 8 years since Rudy has seen his old friend. Roberta has never met Don at all.
Now we get to the hurry up and wait.
5:18, you should be here by 5:20, you think?
Yeah, I don't know.
The prison has provided few details about Don's release. Rudy and Roberta don't even know what type of vehicle he's in.
It's him.
Is it?
Maybe.
What's him?
You better get over there and get a hug.
While Rudy and Roberta greet Don in person, Georgia has no idea if Don has arrived or not. He's supposed to call her as soon as he has access to a cell phone.
It would probably hurt my feelings a little bit if Don didn't call me right after he got off the bus.
Pop the trunk. Pop the trunk.
One of Don's first requests is for a good meal.
I'm starving.
I am too.
I didn't sleep at all last night. The main thing was, will I really get out? Is something going to happen to stop this? And I'm out now, so it worked out for me.
You all right, Don?
You did your time.
I'm all right.
Rudy and Roberta have been in Don's shoes. Each was released from prison a few years ago.
I know they've been through what I've been through, so they'll understand what I'm going to go through today.
But it's 30 minutes into his visit with Rudy and Roberta, and Don still hasn't called Georgia.
I'm so anxious right now I could have a stroke. I just need to know what's going on at that end.
Meanwhile, Rudy and Roberta decide to get Don new clothes before they go to eat.
Well, we're gonna get your clothes first. Not taking you in into any restaurant wearing state issues.
There's an IHOP, right?
It's like
Next
right
to
across.
Walmart.
At home in Roswell, Georgia's frustration grows. Desperate for information, she texts Roberta.
And now it's just a matter of waiting. So if you all don't mind, I'm gonna go start me a pot of tea. I'm gonna go wash my face, and I'm going to try and shake off a little bit of this anxiety.
It takes 10 minutes for Roberta to reply to Georgia's text. It's her first update since her husband's release an hour and a half ago.
So finally, I get this text message saying they're in Walmart shopping and he's sniffing all the deodorants. So I made a smart remark back, and she informed me that when they got to the restaurant, they would call me then.
While Georgia tries to stay awake, Don orders his first meal in 10 years.
Hello there. And how are you doing today?
Good, how are you doing?
Well, I'm doing much better than I was about an hour and a half ago.
Yeah, his anxiety may have been going down, but mine was just skyrocketing up, you know?
Back at home, Georgia is still waiting for the phone to ring. By 7:30 a.m., 2 hours after Don's arrival at the bus depot, Georgia's patience runs out. She gives in and calls her husband.
Hello?
Here he is.
Yes.
Well, damn it, you got in over an hour ago and I hadn't heard from you.
Well, I've been busy.
I was starting to get a little angry, and some of the first words out of my mouth is, where the hell have you been?
Well, I've been busy trying to find pants. I have an 18-inch MC if that's anything to brag about, I don't know.
But then I heard the laughter and the joy and the playfulness in his voice, and there went all my anger.
I needed some time alone. I needed time to think.
Come on out. Come here, Karma. We got somebody for you to meet.
Because if she was there, it'd be all huggy, 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 ooh, you know. And coming out of prison is not as easy as people think. It's a shock.
Just pick him up. He won't bite.
I'm not worried about him biting. He got a little mouth.
In Don's case, it's especially shocking heading home to a wife he has never lived with.
I don't know of anybody that wouldn't experience some kind of friction, and probably more with Don because he's going to be with a woman that he's never been with. It's probably a scary thing. I mean,
Don, let's do that blues thing that we used to kick around in the yard.
It's been only 12 hours since Don's release, but he's already done things he's been dreaming of for years.
It's so unreal. Everything I've done that's new for the first time since I've been out, it's like it's unreal.
At 10:30 p.m., Don looks back on his first day of freedom.
And boy, I enjoyed all of it, every minute of it. I wish it could have lasted longer, but I had a wife to get back to.
Once again, Rudy and Roberta drive Don to the bus station.
Well, it's legs.
This time tomorrow, Georgia and Don will finally be together.
I am free. I don't think I've realized that yet. I think on the bus ride tonight, it'll come to me. You know, 'cause that's when I can reflect on what's happened. It's been a good day.
But it's going to be a long night.
And we are off.
Don must still take a 14-hour bus trip to Amarillo, Texas, where Georgia will be waiting for him.
It's over now.
Yeah.
Yep, it's over.
We're all done. None of us
We're all
ever
done.
have to go back to that.
That bus ride's going to be really difficult on Don, I know it. But I hope when he steps off, he's just as excited, because I know I am.
We have 30 minutes.
We're fine.
We don't want to miss the bus.
Yeah, we will.
It's still just long enough away that I can't put it into a reality.
see you again soon, right?
I'll be back in a couple weeks. I love you. Thanks for everything.
I know it's tomorrow, but the idea of him walking in that house, until I have him in the truck, I don't know if I can really connect it.
Coming up, Georgia and Don's reunion doesn't go as planned.
I was just really disappointed. I wanted to see him this afternoon.
And Georgia's nerves get the best of her.
I was scared to death that he wasn't going to get off that bus.
Georgia's husband Don was released from prison 30 hours ago. He was supposed to meet Georgia in Amarillo this afternoon. But due to an unexpected schedule change, he missed his bus. He's now 8 hours behind schedule.
No, I was just really disappointed. I wanted to see him this afternoon, and now I'm not going to see him till the middle of the night.
For Georgia, the delay is almost unbearable.
I know we've waited for 7 years. 8 hours doesn't seem like that big a deal, but right now it feels like it.
Georgia decides to get some pampering before she finally hits the road to meet Don.
I think the hair appointment's going to make me feel more relaxed. I'm sorry, I can't. I'm just an emotional wreck right now. I was doing everything I could to make it perfect, and there's no perfect. So everything that had been planned was gone, and it was just like, it was out of control. And I was too.
Just have a seat right here. Let's go back in here. Give you a nice haircut.
Okay. Yeah, the only thing I ask is don't cut it too short.
Oh, come on, Georgia.
I wish. Now, he'd shoot me if I cut it too short.
Although they've been married nearly 6 years,
Yeah, right.
it's been 2 years since they've last seen each other in person. Georgia is worried about making a good impression tonight.
But it makes you kind of nervous, though. I mean, it's kind of like a first date.
Yeah, I maintain we're still newlyweds, you know. We've never seen each other intimately.
The couple will spend their first night together as husband and wife in a roadside motel.
And I don't know why I'm crying. I'm sorry.
It's okay. If he loves you, he's going to love you just the way you look.
Oh, he's always said, he said part of the reason he fell in love with me was because of my fat ass. I believe the first time with Don is going to be awkward and short-lived. Have a good night.
You have a great one.
And again, I apologize. And probably very giggly.
While many prison wives maintain that sex is not important, Georgia disagrees.
Those wives lie to you. Sex is important. I don't care what they said. You put it out of your mind while they're incarcerated. You have to, because it makes you crazy otherwise, okay? My husband's coming home. Yes, sex is a big deal right now. A year ago, was sex a big deal? If I didn't get my dirty phone calls, he was in trouble. Gotta get to the hotel and pick you up, dear.
Georgia and Don have one last phone call before she heads off to Amarillo.
Yeah. Trust me, I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be there 20 minutes to a half hour before your bus gets there, honey. And whatever time your bus is there, I'll be there.
As Georgia gets ready to leave, she still has last-minute doubts.
What if he comes home and finds I'm not what he thought I was? I know couples that have gone through that. They were great prison couples. They walk out on the street together and they're not worth a damn together. So I'm anxious.
I think he's nervous about the wedding night jitters. The same thing she's nervous about. That's what's so ironic. They're both scared to death, and it's the same thing.
Georgia's running late. With miles still to go, nerves get the best of her.
Oh, you think I've cried the last few days? If I didn't make it there on time, I would have a meltdown. The max I do is 2 or 3 miles over the speed limit. I can't say that night. Yeah, I was really glad I didn't get stopped.
Before Georgia picks up Don, she checks into a motel. She's chosen a special spot for her first night with Don. When Georgia was younger, she worked at the Big Texan.
It's just a fun place, and I think he'll enjoy it. And it gives him a chance to get out of the bus mode and get into an us mode. Okay. As good as I get. I've been celibate a long time, so no, it doesn't bother me. Am I excited about losing my celibacy? Oh, my goodness, yes. I cannot wait to hold my husband to have him in bed with me.
Georgia, a true romantic, tries to make the room feel as enticing as possible.
I set sparkling cider up like champagne with the ice bucket and the glasses, and I sprinkled rose petals from the door up to the bed and all over the bed.
After a few last-minute touches, Georgia heads out the door. In just half an hour, she'll be reunited with her husband.
It's stupid, but I was scared to death. I was scared to death that he wasn't going to get off that bus. I knew he was coming home. I knew he loved me. But until I saw him, it wasn't real. He was as anxious as I was.
At 1:30 in the morning, Dawn steps off the bus.
Oh, honey.
After 6 long years, Georgia and Dawn are together at last. It's not a dramatic greeting.
We gave each other a love kiss because neither one of us are really big into public displays of affection.
But for Georgia, it's still a dream come true.
It didn't matter anymore if I was attractive. It didn't matter if he found me sexy. It didn't matter that we had been through all we had been through. He was there. And it wasn't until we pulled up in front of that motel and I turned the engine off that it really hit me. I'm going to spend time with my husband. I love you, sweetheart.
Oh, I love you too.
Dawn is exhausted from his trip, but relieved to be with the woman who's waited for him so long.
Even though I am a great guy, and I've enjoyed being around me all these years, you know, I don't know how she's done it, but it'll be all right. She's so anxious. And I'm just so grateful. I know that she's waiting, you know, because it don't always work out, you know.
No longer separated from one another, Georgia and Dawn plan to spend the evening making up for lost time.
My husband makes me feel desired. And he says I do the same thing for him.
We can do some cattle rustling right here. Yeah. Get it, bro, doggy.
Coming up, Georgia enjoys every minute with her husband.
So nice. Looking at my husband across the table.
But Dawn struggles to adjust to life on the outside.
I still flash back to prison. If I ever go back, I'll die there.
After 6 years of a celibate prison marriage, Georgia and Dawn have finally consummated their relationship.
Howdy, folks. Howdy. How are you doing?
Real good. It was everything I hoped for. It was romantic. It was very intense. I now know my husband finds me attractive. And I'm blessed. Yes, he is. Because I have something a lot of prison wives are not going to have.
Start with an appetizer today. Smoked ribs, rattlesnake.
Coffee would be great.
All right, give me a moment. I'll have these right out for you.
It is an appetizer.
They've only been together for a few hours, but Georgia already has a long list of things for them to do.
Animal Planet, like. She said, we can do this and this and this. I said, I'm not here to visit. I'm here to stay. You know, we don't have to rush anything. But this is wonderful having breakfast for the first time. Them some stuff.
Put on everything you needed?
Yes.
We're good, thank you.
Well, except the very true.
It's a 4-hour drive from Amarillo to Roswell. Since Dawn no longer has a valid driver's license, Georgia will take the wheel.
And I'm looking forward to just that time alone with him, you know. I want to see his face as he sees New Mexico for the first time.
When they cross the New Mexico state line, Georgia and Dawn stop to take pictures to celebrate Dawn's new home.
Because this has been his dream to move here.
I told this to everybody I cared about in prison. Everybody thought about getting to the gate, but they didn't think past the gate. You're going to get to that gate. You got to get something planned for when you get out.
See that little crest right up there, honey?
Yes.
Once we pass that, you should be able to see Roswell.
It's hard to believe this. 3 days ago, I was in a cell.
I know.
The UFO capital of the world, that's where I'm at. It's a shocker. It's a shocker. Even when you've been out before, it's a real shocker, especially you're going to somebody you've never been with. You've known for, seemed like forever, but you've never been with them.
I hope you like our home.
Any place is better than where this came from.
Hell, honey, our bed's bigger than your cell was.
It's a great little chateau.
I've talked to other guys that have gotten out, and when they walk in, they don't feel like it's their home.
Come on, honey.
I want him to walk in and feel like this is his house. Trying to make that a reality, especially since we've never lived together, is difficult.
Hey, a book. It's mine? Artwork. Oh, very nice. What else we got?
After spending most of his adult life in a cell, Don will now live in a 2-bedroom home with his wife and 6 dogs.
Hey, I remember that picture.
Knowing that he's as happy to be here as I am to have him here.
Not now, please. I'm working on my book. Don't want to be disturbed.
It's really not just a relief. It's almost euphoric. So, but I'm really glad my husband's home.
Yeah, this is going to work fine.
All year?
For 30 years of my life, you know, I've been hooked up and chained up and tussled from one prison to the next.
Illustrations. That's your closet.
Illustrations. And this is my time. And I can do what I want, go where I want. And I got somebody that'll do it with me. I got to get some clothes.
But living under one roof will be an adjustment for husband and wife.
The biggest piece of advice I have been given is be patient, be understanding. Don't try to push him. Don't try to tell him what to do. Don't treat him like he's a little kid, because he's not. He's a grown man. And he's got pride. I cannot disrespect him.
Oh, yeah. There's no place like home, Dorothy.
Oh, I got a book for you, too.
Man, coming out of prison, in order to be free, you can't have everybody telling you what to do. You might as well stay in prison.
After 3 prison stints, Don claims he's a changed man. An ex-con determined to make something of himself in honor of his late mother. But it's hard going.
This is it.
When Don's mother passed away 7 years ago, he promised himself he'd never let her down again.
I've changed my life, and I can't even let her know. And that's harsh, to know that, I'm okay now. Just the way she wanted me to be.
It's very important to him to be more than just an ex-con, to be more than just a criminal.
Don hopes to make a living as a sci-fi writer. Until he gets his career going, Georgia will be the sole breadwinner. She plans to start up an IT business.
With what I've had to endure and what she's had to endure, wait, we can make it through the hard times. And there will be hard times, there's no doubt in my mind.
While their relationship survived Don's prison stint, there's no guarantee it will last now that he's home.
Nothing sounds better than a Harley, baby.
The majority of prison marriages end in divorce, even after an inmate's release.
It would be helpful to have someone in your corner, like a spouse, that supports you to help straighten your life out.
She's not the most attractive woman in the world, but I've been with beautiful women and stabbed me in my back. One lump or two?
Just
two,
one.
that sounds good.
Okay, I guess 2.
So,
Yeah.
She's never done that, and I don't think she ever would do that.
I don't eat eggs.
I'm gonna make me and the puppy some eggs later, I think.
Okay.
Really what we want is what most people want. We want an opportunity to be happy and make each other happy. So, no, I mean, the statistics are daunting. But somebody wins the lotto, you know, so maybe it's our turn. I am not a prison wife anymore. All I am is Mrs. Don Benson. I am a normal, everyday, run-of-the-mill, nothing special wife. And that's better than anything else.
You can count my back.